Hey everybody, and welcome back to the PictureMonk podcast. This is episode number 9, and this is Jordan from PictureMonk.com, and this is basically a podcast where we talk about everything awesome in photography. If you're new to it, this is the first time you're hearing of it. If you've listened to us before, then you know that basically I just talk about everything that I like in photography. So the first thing I want to talk about is kind of what today has been. As of right now, it is Saturday. Well, technically it's Sunday the 11th, but I'm recording this really, really early in the morning on Sunday, after midnight on Saturday. So technically it's Saturday night for me. Either way, today's been a day that has been just engulfed in photography. Basically, today started out with a little photography trip with my fellow partner in crime, who is my dad. We both really like photography. So we wanted to kind of get some advertising shots, some promotional material for both of our photography businesses. So early this morning, we went out and we got some breakfast. And we went to a park. It's called the Greenway in North Carolina, where it's just a really, really long trail, and it connects in certain areas of the city, and you basically just walk a whole trail. But it kind of backs up to a little stream, a little river, and there's a bridge that you can walk across. And so we went over there and walked around in the woods near the lake and the stuff and the bridge and stuff. And we wanted to get some portraits of ourselves. So today was basically just a portrait day for us. So I would take photos of him in pose positions. He would do the same for me, and we basically just did that pretty much for the whole day, which was really kind of nice because as photographers, we go to a certain scene or especially if you're just a portrait photographer yourself, you really don't think about taking pictures of yourself for your marketing materials. So it's really good to make sure you guys realize that and take those opportunities that you can to have pictures of yourself, even though how uncomfortable it may be. Get pictures of yourself to put on your marketing materials if you run a photography business. So we basically did that the whole day, and I'm in the process of editing his, and he sent me the finals of mine, and I really like them. So look for those coming up soon. And the reason I say this is because a lot of photographers that I listen to, they'll talk about gear, and gear's nice and everything. They'll talk about techniques to do certain things in editing or stuff like that, but not many people talk about the actual journey of photography. I don't know if that's just because people find it boring, but that kind of thing is really the kind of the backbone of doing all that stuff. It's everybody can pick up a camera and take a photo, but the journey of getting to that photo is kind of what is fun. It's kind of like if you go camping and you take your camera with you. Sure, you're going to get some photos of wildlife and stuff like that, but you're really remembering the experience, and that's kind of what you're trying to capture when you take photographs. So it was really fun to do that. It was really kind of fun just hanging out with my dad, talking, having fun, that kind of thing. So that's basically what it's all about. It's just a community thing where you go out with other fellow photographers and have fun. That's basically what it is. So just look for those images coming up soon. And I'm just gonna go and roll into a news article that I found that I really like. I thought it was really interesting. If you go to PictureMonk.com/PMP009, you can kind of follow along with this news article. And the news article was titled 31 photographs that will show you the future of photography. I'm scrolling through these articles right now, the photo samples that they give you, and it's kind of, I don't know if I should say that I'm not impressed by them, but because me being impressed or someone else being impressed or whatever, it's all subject to your beliefs of how you think things should look or, your experiences and stuff like that. But I'm looking at these photos, and some of them are really eye-catching. A lot of them are really one of those types of photos like the high art pieces, but some of them are just very, very strange. It looks like a 4-year-old opened up Microsoft Paint, put a photo there, and just started drawing on it. So, if that is the future of photography, then I think we got some things to work on. Just my opinion. Let me throw that out there. Some of these photos are really, really nice. So I'm going to put a link to that on PictureMonk.com/PMP009, and you can check those out. And basically, there's a museum in Amsterdam called Foam, and they're basically a museum that displays photography, and they give awards out to young photographers from around the world to showcase their photos, and these were the top 31. So out of almost 1,400 contestants from 71 countries, there was 21 of them selected for the finals. So they basically just put all the 31 that were the runners up and everything on here. So just have a scroll through that. Leave comments on the website and let me know what you think. The comments that they left on Huffington Post were very mixed. So I'd like to know what you think. All right, so let's go ahead and get to the main topic here. I got 3 questions that kind of range from technical experience and gear recommendations and workflow. So let's go ahead and get in the first question. Question number 1 is, why do the sky in my photos always come out white? And that can be a variety of things, but if you take a photo in bright sun, that's mainly when your photos, the sky in your photos is going to come out bright white or almost very close to being pure white. The reason for that is mainly a dynamic range problem, most likely. Dynamic range is the amount of the darkness in your photo and the lightness in your photo, and how much your camera can capture the in between and the darks and the lights. So let's say you're shooting in bright sunlight, it's trying to compensate for the really, really bright sun, but also get detail in the shadows. So the perfect middle exposure is basically what it's going to grab, and sometimes that means blowing out your sky to a white to try to get the detail in your main interest where you focus. So one way to try to correct this and try to get some actual detail in your sky is, number 1, don't shoot on a very, very clear, bright day. You want to try to shoot for maybe a overcast day, cloudy day, depending on the type of mood you're trying to get in your photos. You definitely can get on a bright sunny day. You definitely can get the sky in your photos. It's just going to take a lot of extra lighting, maybe get in the shade and try to take photos that way. It just depends on what you're trying to set. I would really prefer to shoot on an overcast day. Or even a partly cloudy day. That would be nice, because even in partly cloudy days, the few clouds that are in the sky are going to break up that real bright sky. So you're going to get more detail in the sky. So if your photos are always coming out white on the sky, just try to pick a better time to shoot. Maybe even get a circular polarizer that might cut down on that. And if you need to get a recommendation for a circular polarizer, you can head on over to PictureMonk.com/gear. I believe I have one on there that the brand that I recommend. And speaking of that, I've been noticing a lot of people visiting my gear page, and I realize that I don't have really much gear on there. There's a couple reasons for that. One is I don't really test a whole lot of gear because I don't have a whole lot of gear. I don't want to buy a whole lot of gear. So I'm going to be revamping that and adding more and more gear as I can. The main caveat is most of it's going to be, as far as lenses and camera bodies go, going to be Canons, because that's what I shoot. I don't have any experience with Nikon other than taking a couple test shots. So if you're a Canon shooter or you're thinking about going over to Canon, my gear page might be a little bit of help for you. So I'll send out a tweet on my PictureMonk.com or my PictureMonk page. I'll send out a tweet, Facebook. I'll do all that stuff when I have that up and running. All right, the next question is what camera, this is going more for a gear question, what camera would you recommend, a Canon T5i or a Canon 6D? I have shot with a Canon T2i way back when. That's the camera I kind of first started getting into photography, and it was a really, really good camera. I actually only within the last year replaced it with my Canon 6D. So I really like the T2i. I really like the T5i. The new features that it comes out with. It has a better image processor. It has the tilt screen with the it's even touch screen. I've actually played with that one a lot, and I really, really like it. So that's not a bad deal. And I believe on Amazon you can find it for around $800 with a 18 to 55 millimeter lens, which is not a bad deal because I think that's roughly what I paid for mine. You could probably even get it secondhand off eBay and get it for cheaper. Now the Canon 6D is a little bit better camera. I think it has the same image sensor as the Canon T5i, and it still has the same features as far as, it does video and stuff like that. But the Canon 60D does have a lot more quality features that you might like. So it typically has a better color depth, which is really great because Canon is kind of known for their color, and Nikon is kind of known for their noise, the way it handles noise better in higher ISOs. It does have a little more dynamic range, which is kind of what we were talking about in the last question. And one of the other ones is a better image quality, and not to be confused with a better image sensor, because I believe they do both have the same sensor, but the way the 60D processes the image is what's better compared to the T5i. And right now on Amazon, I believe with the kit lens, you can get it for about $1,000 roughly. For both of the cameras, if you get them without the kit lens, I believe the Canon T5i is around a little less than $600, but the Canon 60D is a little less than $700. So there is a quite a bit of gap. It just depends on, if you're a very beginning photographer, the T5i is going to be just perfect for you. It's going to last you a very long time. You're going to think you grow out of it, but then you're going to find all these cool little features that are hidden inside there that you really never use. It's going to be perfect. If you want to get a little step up and not have to worry about replacing your camera anytime soon, then you might want to go for the 60D, and you'll be satisfied with it. You'll definitely learn new things about that camera and experience the quality difference compared to other entry level cameras. So that being said, I would probably go with the 60D. I just think that it's gonna be a little bit of long lasting camera. Even though the Canon T5i is great, I think it's going to be a little bit of a it's gonna go with you for a very long time. All right, the last question is going to be, do you prefer Photoshop versus Lightroom? Which one do you kind of use? Which ones has a better workflow? For me personally, I kind of started this all with Photoshop. Most people don't do that. Most people start with a very simple image editor like Lightroom, and Lightroom technically wouldn't be considered simple, but it does just basically that. It just edits the photo with a little bit of noise, spot removal, that kind of thing. It does have those simple features, but Photoshop, that's what I started out using, just because I really wanted to do the cool things like take somebody's head and pop it on somebody else's body, that kind of thing. That's what I kind of wanted to start out doing. So I kind of learned the ins and outs of Photoshop that way. As far as workflow goes, Lightroom has the best workflow out of everything, because you can edit multiple photos at once, which you can technically do in Camera Raw. It's just a little more clumsy, but Lightroom definitely has a better workflow as far as cataloging. You can flag images, you can star images, so you can quickly pull those keepers up when you want to display them, print them, that kind of thing. But it's also, for a beginning photographer, it's extremely simple to use. Lightroom, I don't really get into Lightroom as much as I should. I'm starting more into that. I kind of find myself always dragging my raw files into Photoshop to get them all ready to go, and I'm trying to work more into Lightroom. I've actually just set up a new hard drive to be my main housing for all my Lightroom photos. So all of them are going to be imported into that separate hard drive, and we'll see how that works. But I like I said in my last podcast, I got my presets getting ready to be rolled out. So I really like what Lightroom has to offer. So long story short, basically I would prefer Lightroom over Photoshop. Obviously, from Lightroom, you can definitely open your Photoshop files. It has that open in Photoshop feature in Lightroom, which is really helpful because it'll open the file in Photoshop. You can make your advanced editing in there, and then close it, save it, and it'll automatically open that new file back in Lightroom. So, you really can't go wrong either way. But Lightroom, as far as workflow goes, has a way better chance of being more successful for you and helping you with this whole process. So I would definitely choose Lightroom, and you can actually get both of those on Adobe.com for their Adobe Creative Cloud. You can get Photoshop and Lightroom for, I think it's $10 a month. So I mean, if you want to try out Lightroom, you'll always have Photoshop in your back pocket, so you can try it out that way as well. All right, guys, that's about it for the show today. I just wanted to kind of run over those couple things and go address some of those viewer questions that I've had. So be sure to visit PictureMonk.com for all the tutorials and all the Friday freebies that I have, all the great articles that we post out there every day. And please be sure to subscribe to the podcast. It really helps out, and also rate it. It just came out that from what I've heard, Apple and the podcasting rating system really holds on to what the raters of your podcast have to say. So all the reviews will help with the podcast, and I really appreciate you guys if you just go review it real quick. 1 star, 5 stars, I don't really care. Just as long as you review it, that's what matters. I don't want to be an in the middle kind of thing. I want to either know you love it or you hate it. So if you want to help out the podcast, just go to iTunes and rate the podcast. I'd really appreciate it. And that's about it, guys. Head over to picturemunk.com/PMP009 to look at all the links for the stuff we discussed. And I'll see you guys in the next podcast.